Welcome back, folks, and welcome to the North American Challenger Cup Week 4. We have an exciting finals for you. Rambozos, the team that we just watched, and not Vicious and Delicious, not one of the other teams you might expect. Acceleration coming through. Team that has had a lot of experience in the amateur scene. Why don't you expand on this team for us a little bit, Kret?
Right, so it's not necessarily as a group of 5, but the players have been around for a long time. And Collateral played in the Path to Smite launch, as did Odd Tunes. Radio Mist has been around, sort of a casual king, reminds me of NJ Nick. Has performed in other tournaments, like 3v3, I think he did well. Famous Hate is a ranked player and has been in the amateur scene, previously playing for Bloodbath and Beyond. And Jelly, I don't know, I'm not too familiar with, but if he gels with the team, hey, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar with Jelly. I'm more of a jam guy myself, but we'll see how this player comes through in the clutch. First round of picks are basically done. Athena, Ram, and Giannis on the side of Acceleration. Really like these picks. Rambozos, as we say, Ra and Geb, they like to go traditional, but Uller, interesting.
So Uller has currently a 25% win rate in the Smite Pro League. There's 4 wins and 16 total games, so 12 losses. There's something going wrong, right? We can say that much. I don't know what it is. Some people have their ideas, but you really have to play Uller well. And I think the point where Uller is really worth picking is when you have a player who can reliably hit the 3-1 combo without setting up the target first with a stun. When you can just poke with your Hail of Arrows and Barbed Arrow combo.
Definitely. I mean, that's one of the harder to do things with Uller, and that's part of the reason we don't see him that's for the stat you just gave us. That's part of the reason. The fact that he's just so difficult. I like the Freya pick. I like the Freya pick with the Geb and the Uller. I think that can work out well. Giannis being hovered over here. We'll see how this goes. Nemesis, rather. I really like Nemesis against the Geb because he can't be crit, and Nemesis doesn't really rely on crits.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly pretty good. And with the Divine Judgment, you're able to cut through the Geb protections. Now, the one misunderstanding that people can have about the Geb ultimate is it reduces crit damage by 75%, much in the same way that Deathbringer increases crit damage by 50%. Mm-hmm. So when it balances out, you're critting for 175, which obviously isn't great, but, you know, it's still pretty... He'll still die late game. Like, Geb will still die. It might take a little bit longer. He's got good base stats, but when there's a Geb in front of a Hunter, the Hunter will often be able to get the kill when they use all the tools at their disposal. He basically still can't get caught out. But honestly, so looking at these drafts, which team are you going to give it to? We haven't seen much chalk today. I like the chalk for the solo lane.
I really like the chalk because the chalk impacts this team fight immensely. You have a Hunter who really relies on being able to cast the spells, and you have a Freya who obviously is only Freya when she can cast her spells. So if Chalk could get a fantastic silence off Kret, Uller has basic attacks but is essentially neutered for 3 seconds. Freya won't be able to activate her burst for a long time, and that is a huge deal. Against other Hunters, silences isn't as effective, but against Uller, that's a large majority of his team fight, and without the jump and the stun available to him, you can burn down Uller very quickly.
But the other thing is, Chalk's got a team composition that's not going to stack diminishing returns for him. For example, when you play Chalk with Geb, if Geb goes in with Cataclysm, then Shockwave, and you try to follow up with your Stormcall, it lasts for a second, and your ultimate is significantly less effective. Against this team, the counter initiate from the Stormcall will pretty much last the full duration. You've only got a portal and a taunt from Athena, the Confound, to really mess with that. So I really like the Chalk. I think his counter initiate could be very, very strong. We are going to see Meerkat Vimana, and he's really good at it. So I think my question is, will Meerkat be able to carry? Or will Acceleration be able to use the tools that they have in their Nemesis and their Chalk? Both could have chin size to take down that Vimana, stop the carry. And then the other thing is, Paradox, will he perform on Uller? Statistically, I want to say no, but I believe in Ben.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen so far out of the Apollo, out of the Paradox, has been micro is the wrong term to use, Kret, but he's been accurate on all of the stuff that he's been pulling out, and that's really what we look for when we look for an Ullr player. So I really like the lineup for Acceleration, to be completely honest with you. We talked about the Chalk, you talked about the chin size coming out from Chalk and Nemesis. I think the lineup is good for Acceleration. I think Rambozos have a little bit more experience, so it's interesting. I think the picks and drafts slightly go to Acceleration, and it's up to them to make use of it against what I would call the crowd favorite right now, Rambozos. We're going to see how the team actually responds to the situation in just a couple of seconds. So don't change. Stay right here. We'll be back with more Smite.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the North American Challenger Cup. In the blue truck is going to be a quiet storm, or Acceleration coming out of the left corner of the map and the bottom half of your spectator UI. Radio Mist, Famous 8, Collateral, Jelly, and Dude Zefta on the other side. Who we got?
I'm Kret. On the other side, we have Rambozos in red, Meerkat in the solo lane on Vimana, Paradox and Chris Pocket making up the dual lane. Grishank will be in the jungle on Freya, and Aduro on Ra. I think 27.6% of the time we see these teams going in the left-hand side of the jungle. We're going to see a 13% chance for the red team to actually make something happen, and 37% chance that Collateral actually just gets out. Taunt is out, and nothing will happen, just like 12% of the time we see.
All right, well, a little bit of an early engage coming out there, but not going to quite happen for Acceleration. Just getting a little bit of poke. Honestly, you're probably just going to see a standard start. Invade's not really big in the meta right now.
No, just pretty much standard. You got to be careful with a lot of the invades. And taking a look at Rambozos, it's not really... They're not really conducive to level 1 starts. Paradox has a good stun, but Grishank level 1 is a little bit awful. Acceleration gonna throw a little bit of an axe from Oddtunes just to sort of let his presence be known. We're here. Don't get excited. We want our mid camps.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen mid-camp spawning in 5 seconds. No one really in position to invade. Jelly and Acceleration are going to be doing the jungler solo red buff, which totally is normal. Oddtunes is going to get level 2 as he walks by. Then they're going to go get the blue. When they get into the lane, it'll be slightly later than the Rambozos, giving them lane control by default, but neither of these teams has a sort of dominate the solo lane composition for the solo duo phase. Actually, no, it could be an invade coming out. Look at this Grishank with the pulse. There's a hog. It's going to go to Oddtunes. No problem.
Just sort of forcing, you know. I like plays like that. He has a hog. Yeah. You're not going to get the blue, but let's make sure you do everything correct. That's exactly what Rambozos are doing. They want to make sure that Acceleration has good mechanics, and Freya rotating level 2. Interesting play. We saw... Dignitas started this a while ago, where Lazarus would just rotate immediately and spend time in the duel in the middle lane. Instead, Secret, Grishank invading level 2. Aduro's going to hit it from over the wall, retreat back to the lane. We've seen this the past 3 games that we've watched Rambozos play. Teams have to start noticing this and make note.
I mean, honestly, there's just a 95% chance that they're going to pull this off every game, but it was slightly different this time. So what happened is... Quick, yeah, and really tight timing. So Grishank rotates over to the blue, which gives a little bit of solo farm to Meerkat, clears the first few creeps, and then he's gonna get the rest of that wave, rotate out to lane. As he crosses mid, he hits level 3, arriving at the same time as the wave, goes and rotates to the speed buff, steals that away, goes back to mid, hits level 4, gets red with his partner Aduro. Looks like the plan is gonna go back to mid lane. Oh, Aduro has actually had some connection difficulties, but on the left-hand side, they cannot pause right now. Need to disengage and get out. Great play there.
Well, folks, that's all you have to do.
Yep.
You turn 360 degrees and walk away. Then you can pause. It's just that simple. No DQ. Everybody's happy. Rambozos live on. This should actually be a rather quick pause. Aduro is disconnected, as you can see. But no DQs here. No combat, etc.
You know chat's still going to spam DQ, boys. But yeah, I mean, it was just Solid play. They identified it. They were like, all right, just give up a few creeps. They lose a little bit of lane control. That sucks. But, I mean, it happens. You know, you just got to deal with it. You got to move on, and the loss isn't going to be that big. It's not going to snowball the game. It might slow down Rambozos' start a little bit, which would be unfortunate because their start's been super efficient so far. And so when you take away a little bit of efficiency from something that's like nearing maximum efficiency, this is one of the cleanest starts I've seen, basically, is what I'm getting at. And that detracted from it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. You gotta choose your scenarios carefully. Looks like Giannis is trying to make the rotation over to the left-hand side. Aduro's missing. He doesn't realize he's DC'd at this point, so he's trying to make it to the left-hand side. You know, just he'll soon have to turn around, and you know, for all intents and purposes, a 360 degrees turn would have him going in the opposite direction. So I think it's a good choice coming up from the middle laner.
Yeah, I mean, really, the 360-degree turn is just such an important part of the strategy because it's going to allow you to be able to rotate not only in lane, but rotate out of your lane. You can rotate wherever you want when you rotate 360 degrees. So it's what you should do 100% of the time, 360% of the time.
Short pause. We should be coming out of it in a matter of seconds, actually. It's only about a couple of minutes, and we are almost there. So taking a look at the builds, do we see anything crazy starting off? Meerkat, again, with the Smithy's Hammer, building into Runeforged. This is an item that people didn't like for a long time, and now we're just seeing it all the time. Yeah,
I mean, it's the tank item for solo lane. Mystical Mail has basically fallen out of the meta because it's bad. In more seriousness, it's too expensive to finish. So by the time you get it done, you're like, yeah, I have lane control for a few minutes. And then my item's not really that good. And it's not conducive to building into a damage build. So Mystical Mail can have a lot of trouble. There's situations where it can be effective. The auras do stack. So having a lot of people with Mystical Mail can be really, really nice because it's getting tanky and doing damage, and the more people that you do that, it can be very, very strong. But Smithy's Hammer is just super efficient. I mean, 350 health, 55 magic or physical protection for a little bit more than 2,000 gold is crazy efficient.
Yeah,
it builds nicely. It's just everything about the item is good, and you get a little bit of physical build too. Not that much, but hey, every little bit helps.
So the Rambozos are a team that we talked about all throughout the tournament. We actually got the pleasure of watching a lot of their games, unfortunately. Meerkat, Paradox, Chris Pocket, Aduro, we've seen them around competitive. We talked about them a lot. Looking at Acceleration, there are some familiar names on there if you're really invested in the Smite scene, but maybe not if you're new, just casually watching the Challengers Cup. Why don't you tell us a little bit about their roster as teams are sort of waiting for the next mid-camp to spawn?
The Acceleration roster?
Yeah.
So Acceleration, Radio Mist is honestly a very strong mid laner, a little bit similar to Nick, in that he's was a good casual player, and then they're like, wait a second, you want to play competitive? And he transitioned fairly nicely. Famous Hate has been a ranked ADC for a long time. He's definitely on that list of good ADCs in North America that aren't Snoopy Bear Zap, Allied. Or maybe even, you know, some people would argue that Allied is the top of that list.
Allied afterthought.
Allied's on my fantasy team, man. Like, he is 4th, but I love him.
Yes.
Because, honestly, when it comes to Allied, when he goes off, he goes off. Like, Senpai goes Super Saiyan. Anyway, in the support role, Collateral and Odd Tunes were playing in the amateur scene in the Path to Smite launch. I think with Panda Bears, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, they've been out in the amateur scene for a while. I don't know who Jelly is, but my dad likes it on his English muffins, so I'm alright with that. Though he does prefer marmalade.
Mid-cam split. Left goes to blue, right goes to Rambozos. Good poke coming out from the Radio Mist. A double lift. That's going to be good. Turn into a Ra ult, into a Geb ult. Up in the air. 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4. Grishank, that's all he needs. Gets the first blood onto Collateral. Jungler kills the support.
Good kill. I mean, supports in general are vulnerable to getting caught out, and just Collateral was not in the right position. There's gonna be 1,000 gold and 1,500 experience in favor of the Rambozos. They need to keep this rolling somehow to make sure to keep that lead on point. I think one of the biggest things is Uller is going to be a fight hunter, right? His goal is to be good 1v1, good in team fights. Rama is like is a fight hunter, but also has a little bit of global presence.
Mm-hmm. Ullr's definitely more of the guy that wants to kill you. Rom can farm your lane. Ullr needs to kill you to get ahead.
Exactly, and I want to see Paradox come out with that within the next 6 minutes. I think he needs to get going.
That's why I like this Ullr pick on the Paradox. When it comes to most hunters, it's generally what the lane desires, but when it comes to Ullr, I feel like it's very specific on the, like, there's a reason that Zapman excels with Ullr and virtually nobody else does, because you jump in at level 2 and you kill him. That's what the Zapman Bible says. And you need to have that sort of aggression and bloodthirst in order to really play an effective Ullr.
Well, and also Zapman can hit his 3-1 combo on moving targets, which is astonishing to watch. And honestly, I mean, there's a lot of skill involved with playing Ullr. Through Space and Time comes through, aimed for the left lane, looked like they thought something was going to happen. I love the proactiveness.
Yes.
They just were wrong. Actually, an invade from Grishank alone is going to get the speed buff, so it's worth, even if he dies. But that Divine Judgment coming through does have his ultimate to create some distance, and Nemesis forced away. Snipe will connect. Retribution Shield did keep her alive there.
Good hit onto Aduro coming out from Radio Mist. Collateral trying to box in the heel. Not a good plan. 3 members of Acceleration trying to make something happen where Chris Pocket and Aduro bearing down on Radio Mist, gonna disengage and play it safe. And you know, I agree. I really like the ultimate coming out from Radio Mist. It's early in the game, so you're not gonna get overly punished by wasting your ultimate, so to speak.
Yeah.
And for example, if your ultimate is 60-second cooldown and you spend 2 minutes not using your ultimate, you've effectively lost a single ultimate. So, bearing that in mind, Radio Mist fires it over just in case, doesn't need it. By the time he needs it next time, it'll be off cooldown. Fantastic just-in-case play, which I think you really need to do, especially this early in the game.
Right, it's all about being proactive, but sometimes it can turn around and bite you, and you're like, alright, that ult didn't do anything, and I didn't have it when I needed it. It's a difficult battle. For me, whenever I'm playing a single-player first-person shooter, I always, like, hoard, I don't know, frag grenades, and I never use them on any bosses. And then, like, I just die, and I'm like, why can't I kill this boss? But I don't want to use a frag grenade, because I might need it later. It comes down to player attitude. Some players use frag grenades all the time. Either way, I like the proactive play, because Yanis ulting over dual lane is starting to become commonplace, so to surprise people, you have to be more proactive.
Definitely proactive needs to be one of the bigger words to use. And right now, as far as the warding is concerned, both teams have that word in the very front of their minds. Look at this checkerboard of vision that we have. Not just single-sided. We've got 4 red wards, 3 blue wards, just on the left side of the map alone. Collateral's going to find her way back in a lane. Nobody is touching this duo lane without everybody knowing.
Oh. Looks like Meerkat has been forced to recall lane control in favor of Oddtunes. Kind of should be going that way. Chalk has the built-in sustain. Vamana has to use his ultimate if you want. But Meerkat going to a Heartseeker could turn that around. It will have a lot of damage at his disposal, but no penetration. Well, we'll see how that ends up in the late game. And I think Vamana's a little bit stronger when it comes to the end of the game.
Oh, without a doubt, objectively, Vamana is a late game god. Just needs a lot of items. I'd say a core of 3 to 4 items to really become the character that we are afraid of as Vamana. Needs maybe a Fatalis, some good little bit of tankiness, as well as some, maybe if you're not going Fatalis, sprint, but there's definitely item requirements to make him as powerful as he needs to be to scare people.
Well, you know, let's talk about Ben, aka the Paradox, real quick. Hits level 10 on that Ullr, so does have a nice little lane advantage. I think it's going to be the pen boots when you could start to see some good pressure coming out from that Ullr. Trying to body block out this ward. Collateral can't get the last hit. And that ward's going to stay alive. Wait, Reach gets it. Reach is OP.
That Athena, yes folks, Athena's spear throw after using an ability is not an ability. It is classified as basic, like Freya's pulse.
Yep.
So it does kill wards. Interesting side note.
It's also similar to, honestly I'd say it's the original Astral Arrow, just with a different casting situation. And another ward immediately dropped and immediately killed. It's 50 gold down the drain. Not a huge deal. Our game is a little bit faster than some other games where we applaud for wards dying, but well, mid camp's coming up, and it looks like that's going to be an even trade.
Yeah, once again, lefts go to Rambozos, rights go to Acceleration. That's the third set of mid camps, and that's the third split as well. Geb, Cataclysm gonna miss. Chris Pocket, usually very good with his mechanics, gonna go ahead and swing and miss right there. So that's gonna be a pretty costly engage.
Oh,
Rambozos don't mind. They're gonna press on. Not gonna get anything. Right, left side jungle still trying to push. Chris Pocket now alone. His team left. Now they're coming back. Not someplace he wants to find himself, especially without Cataclysm.
Yeah, needs to be careful not having that ultimate available. So it's probably not going to be a good time to go for the 2v2. Taking a quick look at the solo lane. Players are trying to smack each other to the best of their mechanical ability. Meerkat actually hit all his stuff. It was good play. It looks like he's winning, but this is the solo lane.
Yeah,
so
it's Chalk versus Amana. Chalk's gonna heal it up. Amana will heal his up, and
it's a battle of inches.
good,
like
check it out the solo lane. We'll see in about 15 minutes. Mid lane, Radio Mist trying to get a Duro. That is
Chris Pocket, left-hand side, getting ganked. Defender Olympus coming through. Divine Judgment already out, and the Goomba Stomp not quite enough to kill. Now Collateral is very low, just 50 health, taken down by the Paradox. One kill on the ADC. Rotating in is Aduro, will get that Divine Light to slow. Jelly does not have his dash to get away. Stable Vortex will not connect, but Aduro is forced back. Paradox a little bit low on mana. That's gonna be the disengage.
Paradox starting out 1 kill over his enemy Hunter. We take a look at Famous Hate, and he's got 0 kills. Does have an assist, so still relevant, but not quite the kill that Paradox has. 5,600 gold to 5,500 gold, so just barely a lead over Famous Hate does the Paradox have. But it's the beginning of one. As we said, this is sort of what the Paradox wants to do with Uller. He wants to find these kills. He wants to essentially just murder Famous Hate in lane over and over again. You might say that's typical, that's the goal of the game, quite frankly, but
yeah.
Uller specifically wants to get kills.
Yeah, he's a jungler that you're picking for his ability to pressure the opponent in the lane, and his biggest strength is honestly his burst. He has some of the highest burst of any ADC. I mean, Anhur has sort of the impale into ultimate, but the ultimate takes time, where Uller hits you with 3-1, and it's as fast as I said it. It's 3-1, as opposed to Desert Fury, which is more like Desert Fury over 8 individual hits. That said, you gotta hit your skills, hit your skill shots, etc. Ward battle coming out. Collateral wants to drop the ward. Reach gets a little bit of damage on the Chris Pocket. Slight win.
A lot of red on this left side of the map around Gold Fury. Collateral caught between a Ra and a Rock. Knocked into the side. That one's going to hit. That's a good Cataclysm. Trying to block the dash is Chris Pocket. Ultimate
Paradox
completely offline for Aduro. So Collateral's going to be all right. Paradox taking a look. He's not able to go deep because he's zoned by Famous Hate. Great just spatial awareness coming out from Acceleration's Hunter. Gold's Fury is going to go down. Rom's in the air, but it's a little bit too late. Gets a decent amount of damage, but nothing they can do with that damage.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a big rotation out from Acceleration to force Meerkat out of solo lane, and they did that. But Athena got forced to recall after some over-aggressive warding. Didn't have a way back in with the Defender Olympus. Couldn't even healed up and ulted in time. No one was in position for the ult, etc. So while it looks like Acceleration got both mid camps, they gave up a Gold Fury because even though Collateral didn't die, it was close enough. He wasn't able to stick around.
Not able at all. Returning back to the long lane is these two Hunters. Paradox with that half level above Famous Hate. That's going to be good for him. We have a back of the support while Aduro's getting aggressed on. Chris Pocket's back at base. Aduro loses about a quarter of his HP right there with a taunt into Radio Mist. That's going to hurt just a little bit. Grishang trying to come mid to provide support. Acceleration pinging him out. They understand that.
Paradox Left-hand side, his jump is down. Divine Judgment coming through. Beads used, but they're only rank 1. Will purge the slow.
Great stun.
Nice stun. His jump's going to be back up. Can he use it in time? Ooh, juke. 4 people diving in the tower, but rotating in. Shield is going to be good. The heal could be just barely enough. The Cataclysm coming through. The Paradox will survive. Barbed Arrow coming in. Collateral uses the shell, but he's going to need every little bit of protection to get out.
Beautiful.
The snipe from Maduro is good. He read it right, and Collateral juke left, because they always juke left.
Jelly taking a lot of damage from Grishank's Freya over here. Good portal opened up, but Jelly's actually just going to run and get dive bombed. Grishank right there. Great plays coming out from Rambozos, Kret. And they're not done. Lift on a famous hate. Little slowed out is Grishank, but he's still got enough damage. Not enough to finish the kill. Aduro, no ultimate from either Aduro or Grishank to really seal that deal, but... Can we give credit to the Paradox? 180 stun, waiting for the jump, gets the jump. Then we need to give credit to the Crisp Pocket for nailing that last second Geb shield. Rambozos, well-oiled machine, got the lead. 3,200 gold.
My man Ben has more mechanics than Formula 1. That was off the hook, because every little bit, every movement he made was... Well, he made a huge mistake. He totally Zapman, stayed too long, used his jump too early, got ganked, was in a horrible position. But everything after that point was absolutely flawless. He did exactly what he needed to do. It was unbelievable. In the right-hand lane, Meerkat was forced to recall. I think Odd2s is winning the solo lane, but winning is subjective when it's 10% more tower damage. The bruisers are bruising at each other. They actually have the same build, except Meerkat has a sprint 3.
Meerkat does have the sprint 3. I like that. Again, we're talking about this build, the Fatalis-less Vamana over here building the sprint 3 instead. What happens is he'll hit the sprint before he goes into the ultimate. So that'll be... It's an interesting way to set up. Collateral taking a lot of damage. There's the Crisp Pocket ult. No one to hit because he's already dead. Aduro takes the kill right there with good Celestial Beam.
Does it still count as a Gerball if you get KS'd?
I'm actually going to give that one to my man's Crisp Pocket. He missed a really bad ultimate early in the game, but now he's 2 for 3. I'm going to give that one to him, because that one, Aduro just hit for way too hard. Level 16, 8,000 gold on his character. Taking a look at the rest of the team on Acceleration. Odd2's the only one that's eclipsed the 8,000 mark, and he's the solo lane. So that mid lane that is against Radio Mist, 700 gold, his junior. So Aduro really doing well in this middle lane.
Oh, Divine Judgment coming through. Meerkat could be in trouble. Actually going to clear the path into a portal and forced to ultimate. So slight victory coming through, trying to get damage on Jelly, who dashes away. Will clear the creeps because he knows hitting a Shock and hitting Athena is pretty futile. Now rotating his Grishank around the backside. Tempest in from Shock. Odd2s could be in a tough position. Knocked into the wall, slowed down. Stormcall coming through, but did they want to cast something through space and time used for damage? Grishank turned on with the Divine Judgment. Does have his Valkyrie's discretion if he needs it, but he's sitting on that for so long, waiting for the recycle. Pulses back up. Nice banish. Needs to not die to Radio Miss, but will get taken down by the auto attack before he's able to get into the air. Huge misplay from Grishank, not respecting mage autos, which can hit very hard. Now the tower pushed onto in left-hand lane. ADC's not really in a position to fight, so it's just about over here, and Aduro will get taken down. Cataclysm a little bit too late. Shell could be just enough protections. Meerkat doesn't really have the damage here. That's a win for Acceleration.
That is a good win for Acceleration. 2 dead on the wayside of Rambozo. 0 dead for Acceleration. So that's going to bring them closer. They lost their left lane tower during that scrum. That's actually going to be first rubble, first tower to go down. Right-hand tower is actually going to get pressed on despite the good play. So Acceleration gets that tower, trading 5 structures remaining for both teams. Taking a look at the graph now, Kret, previously down almost 6,000, have shortened the lead to 2,300 gold.
Yeah, 500 experience is the difference. Now Gold Fury has been pulled by
Wow,
Meerkat.
that's close.
Yeah, it's very close in terms of experience, but they're also on their way to level 20. Dash in is collateral. Now Gold Fury aggro will reset back to Meerkat, getting damage on that support. Banish out. The Mana ultimate used. Great banish. Good team play there to secure the hog. Can they get anything else? Looks like Jelly stunned out by the Paradox with that Axe. Valkyrie's Discretion, absolutely disgusting, destructive. Both. Odd Tunes in the mix. We'll get a nice Storm Call. Valkyrie's Discretion is down, so Grishank has to be careful.
Odd Tunes in the middle of this entire team with a great torrent, but he torrented right in front of a Duro, and he's going to take his life with that Celestial. One more time comes out Radio Mist, trying to hit people with the Unstable Vortex. Not going to get much. 2 people fall in the manhole. That's going to be 2 down for Rambozos, but 5 still alive. So just going to push. Good lift. Good ultimate. Famous Hate just taking so much poke. Give it up for Grishank with that setup. Here comes Collateral. They immediately have to turn away. That is another tower for Rambozos. They're turning on to the mid camps because Gold Fury's already dead. I think they wanted a bigger objective, but
yeah, they're like, yeah, what a great team fight. Let's get mid camps.
Yeah, like
and our speed buff.
You can start to see when players play at a high level or decently high level, as both of our teams are today, for a long time. You get instincts. You get instinctive rotations. When you win a fight in the middle lane, that's Gold Fury, guys. You instinctively turn around, and they realize we got it 3 minutes ago. What do we do now? And you can tell because they went into the jungle. They didn't just retreat down the lane. I really like seeing those internal monologues coming out from each individual player.
But honestly, jungling at this time was a win as well. First of all, they get both mid camps. That's a neutral objective, so they're getting that. But when you're able to jungle without losing map pressure, that's really important because once you get later on into the game, picking up those buffs is sort of like an errand. You're like, all right, I'm our mid lane Ra. I need to get red buff because it's super important for me. Actually, in the middle lane, Chris Pocket, nah, he's fine. So you have to get red, but when do you take the time to go and do that? Paradox in the long lane in a lot of trouble. Famous Hate using Sprint to chase. Paradox is juking. Famous Hate steals the kill out from under the through space and time, but nice proactive rotation once again from Radio Miss, and looks like the outplay kill is going to go to Famous this time.
Yeah, I mean, this is I do like this. I like this matchup a lot. Famous Hate just won that fight, similarly how Paradox just won the last fight. Again, 2 evenly paced hunters right here. That seems to be a really nice motif of our Challengers Cup, Kret. Our hunters are decently skilled hunters that tend to be evenly matched. I think we get really good long lane matchups in the North American Challenger scene.
You know, I mean, I think the thing about the Ullr 1v1, and especially this ADC 1v1, is sort of whoever sprints first, unless they kill, is in a really tough spot. And that had to be what happened. Paradox did not use the sprint to get away, so it had to be down for whatever reason. And I don't know. I mean, honestly, I want to say it came down to Astro Arrows basically being a Frostbound Hammer. They slow you. It stacks up, and that helps you hit your auto attacks, whereas Paradox is just kind of like, oh, he's moving. What do I do? Did get a stun, but it wasn't enough to buy him time to get out.
It wasn't this time, unlike the last time where he had a highlight reel escape. Solo lane, Meerkat taking a lot of damage. Odd Tunes taking virtually none. 18 versus 18. These are the 2 of the most farmed people in this game. That said, Aduro still leading the charge. Level 19, 10,000 gold. Just like most of the rest of his team. However, the only person in 5 digits is Odd Tunes on Acceleration, so good lead coming out for Rambozos as they press onto the very chalk we're talking about. Good knockback coming out from Chris Pocket, but no one really there to follow up.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Pocket's going to take a little bit of damage, but it's not a chin size chalk, so he's not super worried. Meerkat actually going to go into an Urchin, so it can be tanky. Clear the path into a fight. Nice Cataclysm damage from Collateral, who is not tanky because nothing is tanky when you're against a Freya. And now it looks like that's going to be the end of the fight on the right-hand side. Paradox and Famous Hate once again dueling in the left lane. Fire Giant is pulled. Neither hunter can rotate, so this is a 4v3.
This is, Drone's going to turn immediately onto Jelly. Shield is out, gets hit by the through space in time. It actually looks like Rambozos are going to stay committed. They're going to pick up the Fire Giant, but they might trade a bunch of lives for it. Grishank takes down one. Aduro takes down the other. Radio Mist still here, but he's surrounded. Good use of portals. He's going to be out of there. No problem at all. But Rambozos, 5 people deep with a Fire Giant buff, while Acceleration have lost 3.
Now, on the left-hand lane, Paradox was forced back. He really wanted to get aggressive on Famous because it just was sort of like, I hate letting you beat me, that sort of thing. But basically what seems to be happening in this matchup is they fight and they're pretty even, and then they go back to clearing creeps, and Rama has way more lane control. He's able to lifesteal, he's able to clear more effectively, he doesn't have to use anything incredibly important to clear. And so Paradox there, he wanted to go back in, he wanted to gamble, but he was like, I have Fire Giant, I'm the ADC, my job right here is to kill structures for my team. He has to stay alive, or rather, he wants to stay alive. They could do without him, but he's a really big part of the team right now.
Gold Fury pulled. Collateral here. Taking out the ward, not going to contest the objective. Rambozos secure it. That's going to cement their lead. 9,000 gold in the lead, 10,000 experience. Paradox versus Famous Hate again. See, this is why we were stressing so much early that Paradox wants to get the kills on this Ullr, because he's not going to be able to get them late in the game. Famous Hate, for a number of reasons, is just going to beat him in lane, pretty much what you highlighted before. So Paradox really needed to do this early. He got his one kill. Unfortunately, he traded one as well. Hunter is very even at the moment. Basics coming out. Steroid on for Famous. Famous looking at Paradox. Paradox looking at Famous. Neither of them looking at the wave. Both supports kind of mad about that fact. Both Hunters turn back to the waves. Expect some aggression after this, especially provided with the jungle. Here comes a taunt from the blue team and Jelly from the back. Clap onto the Paradox. He's slowed. Waiting for the jump. Where is he going to go? Jump is not available. But chased out is Acceleration, and now they're going to turn through the portal is Paradox. He's going to fall and beads out. Still coming. Here comes Grishay with all of that damage. No tower to protect them. Rambozos coming down the lane, and another great portal. Acceleration gets away. Acceleration gets away, but here comes Vamana from the back.
Yeah, Vamana coming in from the back, looking for collateral. That's going to be his focus for now. Through space and time, channeled for damage. Hits Chris Pocket in the face as Oddtunes is in trouble, taken down by the Celestial Beam. Diving the Phoenix is Meerkat, getting big damage with those baby stomps. And it looks like they're not going to be able to go too much deeper. Taking out Jelly off of a nice banish. A commit onto Famous.
Ouch.
Grishank is going to allow Paradox to get that revenge kill. Towers down, soon to be the Phoenix.
That was just... Sometimes you get good play and better play, and Acceleration got out of there perfectly. Really big shout out to Radio Mist for absolutely flawless portals, but Rambozos with fantastic spatial awareness, knowing where to go, when to go, and how to go. Come around from the side, Vamana flanks from the right-hand side behind their tower, dive when it's important, get the kills when they need. Radio Mist picks up the support, but it doesn't matter. Rambozos pick up the Titan. That's going to be the final kill of the game. 14-5. Rambozos take game one.
Rambozos looked really good. Paradox, I mean, the Ullr won, but I feel like it wasn't the Ullr winning. He did his job, and he had some nice fights, but 1v1 Famous had control. Famous played that very well. And what really happened in that game was more about the core of the team, which is the jungle, the mid, and the support often decide what happens. I kind of feel like Collateral just got caught a few too many times.
Yeah, Collateral definitely died a couple more times than she needed to. I really liked this Hunter fight. I think that the Paradox versus Famous Hate is an evenly matched one. And like you said, Ullr 3-1 and 5. Slash lines are kind of elusive or misleading in the sense that Rom's 1-1 and 1 wound up being better in lane. Ullr got the early kill, and what I really liked out of Famous Hate is that he adjusted. And I'm going to expand on that point in just a second. Famous Hate adjusted to how the Paradox was going to play. Said, okay, I recognize you're going to be hyper aggressive. I'm going to play my spaces correctly. Unfortunately for Famous Hate, the Rambozos came out and played pretty much lights out in every other aspect of the game. But as I said, Famous Hate adapted. Let's see if the rest of his team can do that. I already expect Famous Hate to adapt to the lane and play it better from minute 1 next time around. We'll see if Oddtunes, Radio Mist, Collateral, and Jelly can do that as well as we move on to game 2. Stay tuned. We'll be there in just a couple of seconds.